Hey guys, how are we doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another video. So I'm sorry I've been away for a while. I've been on vacation, seeing my friends in Europe. I went to Madrid to watch Call of Duty, and then I saw my sister and mother in Germany, visiting my sister. She's living there at the minute. And then I went to Valencia to just top off the holiday for a week, just chilled out a little bit, and perfect time really, as the market's basically gone sideways. During periods of like sideways chop, it tests a lot of people emotionally, including myself. But like, because I've been through it a few times now, like you kind of get more used to it. I'd say it still isn't easy, and I think this cycle's been particularly hard, especially with the meme coin narrative, which has been sucking a lot of liquidity out of pretty much everything, to be honest. Attention and liquidity, because seen people make like 100x's overnight, and then it makes people feel like, oh, why haven't I done that? And then they chase memes, and then they get stuck in the meme world, and attention moves around. It's exciting. Then all of a sudden, the bags are down, and you get a big sort of euphoric or blow off top moment with something like the Javier Milei meme coin. While we're all stuck in this short term attention chase, we're missing the bigger picture, in my opinion. And you can see the fear and greed index that I actually shared on Twitter this morning is at neutral, but it feels much worse than that, because even I feel like long-term crypto holders are feeling negative. There's not much about macro. There's not much about like longer-term perspectives. There's just not much about crypto in general. We've kind of got obsessed with legacy finance and how that interjects and crosses over into crypto, which I do think is coming, and the synergy between both is what's going to catalyze probably this next leg up. And I do think it's actually this cycle and probably imminent, although I have thought that every cycle so far, so take this with a pinch of salt. I thought utility was going to take its place in crypto in 2017, and I thought it again in 2021, and now I think it again in 2025, and I do think that it will come at some point. As I say to some of my like friends or people that I've worked with, peers, my views aren't often wrong, but I can be really early, and I guess that they're the same thing. So let's discuss a few of the things that I'm talking about here. First off, I'm just going to show you the total market cap of crypto and where I think we are right now on a technical level. Let me just get rid of this for a second. I'll just draw it back in a second just so it's clearer on this chart. So we've got our previous all-time high from 2018. And then we came down to the lows. We started to push it. We had the COVID drop, C19. We pushed out of those highs. We broke new all-time high, and we basically just consolidated above new all-time high before absolutely ripping it up to a perfect 4.236 extension. And then I'll show you where I think we are now. I think we're in exactly this position here before we start to send it for the 4.236. So why do I think that? Let's get rid of this last fib now, so I can just show. I've just shown you that, and I'm going to show you why I think we're there. So we've had the consolidation, we've broken out. This could be compared to the C19 drop. I think like we got to retracement levels, we dropped down. This was when the yen trade unraveled a little bit. We then broke our all-time highs, and then we've been sitting on our all-time highs ever since. But also, if I just take you back to this area here, this area here, have a look what happens on the RSI. It starts to dip. People think it's bearish, but we continue high. This is on the 3-day, but just take it to the weekly as well. Try and not get too lost here, which would be this period. The RSI goes, it cools off, and it doesn't make that higher high. But I do think that 2021 was also a bit of a weird cycle, so this is going to be a bit contradictory with what I'm about to say. But my point is that the RSI cooled off at highs. The RSI has cooled off at highs again. The stochastic is oversold. If we go on the 3-day, again, the stochastic is oversold, the RSI is cooled off. And I do think that this gives us the springboard to continue higher. The reason I say that I think 2021 was a bit of a stunted or a different cycle is because we started to get this push up here. FTX blew up and all this, not FTX, Celsius, 3 Arrows Capital, these Luna, they all blew up here. And at this point is where, like right where we are right now, is kind of like sentiment-wise feels like a bottom. Javier Milei's Argentina meme coin, as I talked about, blew up. People are throwing in the towel. Crypto Twitter's at neutral in sentiment, but probably is less than that in my opinion. I feel like it's negative. And we're holding on to previous all-time highs while 3-day and weekly stochastic RSI is oversold, and the RSI standard RSI has retraced. I think we're ready for another leg up. Exactly where and when that comes, I don't know, but let's listen to what Charles Hoskinson has to say. This is an important one for you guys. What I keep saying is, like, zoom out and look at the bigger perspective. If you follow me on other channels, like, you'll know that that's my big message at the minute. So let me just play this for you.
They're so excited about the markets. They think the markets are going to go parabolic, because you look at it, you got sovereign wealth funds coming in and buying crypto. You got basically the US government saying it's going to start holding Bitcoin and they're going to get that passed. Stablecoin legislation is going to get done within 100 days. All the markets are going to open up. Big companies like Microsoft and Google will come in. Apple will come in and create cryptocurrency wallets because they legally can do this. XAI is going to have a largest cryptocurrency wallet in the world right now, 500 million people. They're going to flip the switch there in a little bit. Real world assets are entering the crypto space. $20 trillion on the institutional side is going to come into crypto, and those markets are going to merge. So all the institutional guys, and by the way, they are the degens of degens. They're so excited about the market.
So he is just stating the facts that we all know. We all know that X are going to come in very soon. They've been trying to get money transmitter licenses in every state in the US. I think they're on like 40 or something. That's just off the top of my head, so it could be complete bullshit. But they're up there. Elon Musk's obviously a part of the government. We've then had this week, as I wrote about in the Weekly Insight, my free newsletter. I definitely think you should check this out if you don't already. We've had Citibank and State Street Bank, the biggest asset managers in the world, or some of the biggest asset managers in the world, moving into crypto custodianship. We've got Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund bought $436 million worth of Bitcoin. We had Wisconsin Investment Board discloses $321 million worth of Bitcoin ETF holdings, and Millennium Management bought $2.6 billion in Bitcoin ETFs and $182 million in ETH ETFs. And then the week before this, we had Metaplanet and we had Japan visit the US. The Japanese government pretty much after that said they were looking at maybe making Bitcoin ETFs. And then Metaplanet, their publicly traded Japanese company, basically said they were going to try and buy $26 billion worth of Bitcoin by the end of 2026, I think. The one of those might be wrong, one of the numbers. But they're essentially trying to copy MicroStrategy's strategy in holding Bitcoin. So basically what I'm saying is, I do think the floodgates are opening. They might already be open to institutions. And while retail are tying the knickers in a twist, getting on at each other about meme coins and bullshit that really doesn't matter in the long term, not that any crypto does, institutions are probably buying cryptos that are going to stay around, in my opinion. I've always said that if you're one of the top 10 assets, then you don't need to be the number one. You'll probably still make a hell of a lot of money. Going on to what I think is happening in the short term, yes, we've just this is 4 hour for Bitcoin. We've ranged in the tightest range ever between like $109,000 and $96,000 for Bitcoin for what feels like forever, pretty much since the start of the year. So nearly 1.5 months so far. It's an awful time emotionally to be in crypto when you're in a range like this, but it isn't the first time we've seen this. If we look back at Bitcoin generally, just look at, this is a 3-day chart for Bitcoin. We go through long periods of ranging very often for Bitcoin. It's been less volatile so far this cycle. The swings have been like, 20%-ish, but they've lasted for a long period, sometimes a year, sometimes 3 months, and then another times again over a year. And we're in another ranging period. And when the aggressive moves happen, they happen pretty quickly, and no one knows exactly when they're about to happen. But when sentiment is cooled off, when oscillators have cooled off, and when you're holding ranges whilst potentially sentiment feels negative, is often when the move is around the corner. Having said all this, I do worry about like the March, April, May time frame. Like, then people say sell in May, go away. Like, over the summer, it's often a bit of a cool off for crypto. However, is it going to be different this year, being what I think is going to be the bullish year of the cycle? Normally 3 years of bearishness and then a year of expansion. If we can get into proper expansionary period for crypto in general, yes, we've broken the all-time high for market caps. I'd like to see that continue. And why do I say that? Well, Trump's essentially got 1 year to implement whatever policies he wants to implement. By the end of this year, there are going to be midterm elections that are going to be up for fighting for. And if nothing changes instantly like that, a lot of the voters will probably just flip back to the old votes or another party or other senators and all this that they want to get in politically. So whatever he wants to implement, I think he's going to implement this year, and that could, like Charles Hoskinson said in that post, could be 90 days for when stablecoin regulation comes in. I think that'll be huge for crypto in general. It's going to legitimize it as a financial asset, pretty much legal tender around the world. We've never seen anything like that before. So don't underestimate the importance of that. And that then gives people the rails to easily transact in and out of crypto, including us. Like, we can move money into stablecoins and use stablecoins to transact for things. So it essentially legitimizes cryptocurrency. And that's only one of the steps that obviously Trump is looking at, not including the strategic reserves, etc., which I do think will probably happen. If I was going to be a betting man, I would bet that we would have some sort of strategic reserve or a part of the Wealth Fund or something like that would be my bet. So don't get too disheartened by short-term price action when not a lot's going on. So with all that being said, let's have a look at some short-term price action. But I just wanted to give you my long-term view. A lot of people are asking me what's going on, what I think, and that is what I think. I've just given you it there. So I do think that Bitcoin at some point is going to move up and take this liquidity above us. I don't think the top is in. If we're betting on where I think the market's going to go, at some point it's going to go up and take this 130k. Does it come down to this 84, 85, 86, 87, 88k first? I don't know. I've been saying that for weeks, and while we're ranging, you can never write it off. But inevitably, we will take the liquidity above us. That is my thought process on that. XRP, I drew this on the XRP chart a while ago, so I'll show you the short-term XRP chart. Let's take us down to 4 hour again. I drew this on like the 7th of Feb, I think. 7th of Feb, yeah. The reason I drew this like this is because we were in this position here. I was like, cool, we'll probably go to above the top of the range, come below to take the liquidity below us. We didn't take this below liquidity, but then I thought we'd come up, probably take the liquidity above us at this level here, which is the 280 sort of level, still within the previous range. We took that liquidity. Then I thought we'd come to the mid-range, like use support of this probably fixed range volume profile here. Let's see if I can find that. I don't even know if that is going to be like a key level, but it looks like it probably is. Look, come down, take that liquidity there, and bounce off that volume profile, and then continue to the upside, basically giving those people who were short the opportunity to get out of their shorts before we go long. That is what I thought potentially could happen, and it looks like it's playing out averagely well so far. Let's see. I don't have any leverage positions open at the minute. I got liquidated on my leverage position on this wick, which is what it is. Like, I don't trade leverage with like a huge percentage of my portfolio, and I only trade when I think there's an opportunity. Thought there was an opportunity here, and I actually caught this bounce, and I was like, cool, that's probably it, as we came back and back tested that range. But it looks like we've got some more chopping to go. I do think, as I said though, we're getting probably towards the end of that with basically the cool off, especially even on XRP, for example, 3-day stochastic, looking to try and get out of its oversold area. And the 3-day RSI potentially bouncing off the 50 level. So that's what I think is coming with XRP. I think ETH's looking like it could be waking up, but we're not got anything confirmed yet, as we're still back testing the bottom end of a descending parallel channel. As a descending, like it's like bull flag sort of pattern. I do think ETH probably does pretty well for the rest of the cycle. I don't think it's dead like a lot of people think, but I do think again that XRP outperforms ETH. However, XRP is in decision-making territory, working out the same sort of range as we talked about here, a Wyckoff accumulation. I think XRP outperforms ETH for the rest of the cycle. Although some people in my comments don't think so, that's fine. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be right about that, but we've had a huge outperformance so far, and I think it makes sense for XRP to flip ETH this cycle at some point, especially when you take into consideration the XRP ETF catalyst, the assessment of the lawsuit, potentially with what the SEC are doing right now, and then potentially what Guarding House has been seeing a lot with senators and people of the US government. XRP is consolidating above Wyckoff accumulation, potentially in a sign of strength phase against ETH, before continuing, but also at key resistance right now on XRP ETH. XRP Bitcoin at key resistance as well. So and XRP dominance also at key resistance, looking very similar to the XRP ETH chart. So we're at like make or break time for XRP. Like oftentimes, as you can see, when we've hit this resistance level, we have pulled back. We've hit this resistance level, we have pulled back previously. We've hit this resistance level and pulled back. Well, actually, on the XRP dominance, the last time we hit the resistance level, yes, we pulled back as well. However, the XRP USD chart looks different to that because we've broken all-time highs. Well, we've had daily closes at the highest levels ever. So although we are at resistance, my base case is that we do break resistance and continue higher. And if we do, XRP should dominate this cycle, continue to dominate whilst that trend looks like it's going to continue. And I've shown you why I think that trend is going to continue, and it's only a matter of time. And if you take a zoomed out perspective, like I showed you at the start on total market cap, it does look like we're just in the period before expansion. This period could last for a while, or it could be over tomorrow. We don't know, but that's where I think we are. So I think the risk to reward in buying here is pretty good. I think people are going to be shocked by how high we go this cycle based on emotional learnings from last cycle, which I think was a stunted cycle. People talking about there's going to be no alt season. I don't agree. I think that Bitcoin dominance will some point drop, and I actually think it comes below 39% at some point. People have different thesis on this. So the guy from Real Vision, Jamie Coombs, basically thinks that Bitcoin dominance holds strong because it's going to be part of institutional portfolios. I can understand that argument, but I actually completely disagree. I think that Bitcoin dominance will drop below 39%. It doesn't mean Bitcoin won't expand in terms of market cap. I think it will. I think Bitcoin probably holds its position either as number one or at some point gets flipped as utility comes in, but could be a while. But definitely increases in market cap over time. However, I think dominance decreases as utility comes into play and more assets become involved in the legacy financial world, like as institutions actually use assets for real world use case. Dominance of Bitcoin probably depreciates indefinitely. That's my thought process, and I think there will be an alt season because I think there's a lot of capital in Bitcoin. He says there's low liquidity in it right now. I agree in terms of like a lot of people are buying ETFs. We've talked about this, but I still think a lot of people have made a lot of money on Bitcoin, and the higher the price goes, the more money that they've made, and the more money they make will still rotate into assets that look like they're going to outperform and ones that may or may not help in legacy finance. So I don't agree that I think the Bitcoin dominance decreases over time indefinitely. That's my thought process. Whether we start alt season here, whether we continue to 68 to 73% or 74% for alt season, again, I don't know that. But my long-term perspective is that Bitcoin dominance depreciates over time, and we probably lose the 39% low this cycle. And if we do, then alts are going to absolutely send it because we've got more. Like the total market cap is larger than it's ever been. So if dominance drops below 39% this cycle, when the market cap's larger than it's ever been, we should have a bigger alt season than we've ever had before on paper because that just makes sense mathematically. So there are all my thoughts at the minute. Not necessarily going to be right. Key takeaways are: don't get caught up in short-term hype. Probably meme coin era on Solana is dead for now. Maybe could be revitalized by other political meme coins or other celebs potentially doing something. I don't know. People like the AI narrative. I'm staying away from it. I think there'll be money to be made there, but it's not quite right yet, in my opinion. Key narratives for me are utility, American cryptos. I think Bitcoin probably does at least I think it goes to at least 180k. I said always 180 to 220. Could go higher, but depending on what the narrative is and what happens around the world with, I'm not even got into like macro of like gold and the DXY and all these things which I've written about in the newsletter. Maybe I'll quickly touch on the DXY. DXY is dropping. Where are you? DXY, this is a 3-day, but weekly and 3-day look like short-term tops are in, ascending, like triangle pattern after got overextended, but also with a bearish divergence towards the top. In my opinion, is a reversal. Anything that I don't understand is how the DXY is going to lose strength against the euro, the pound, these sorts of things. I think they look weak. So I've got my eye on that. I think that gold, I have no idea whether gold continues to go higher or not. Genuinely, I've been writing about this, and there's a potential fractal that's following there that could take us up to 3,500. I think gold goes up over time, but we look short-term toppy, and I'd like to see some of that rotate into crypto. And I showed the correlation of short-term gold price action against Bitcoin in my newsletter last week. But yeah, key takeaways: real world utility assets probably increase in value. XRP probably goes outperforms ETH for the rest of the cycle. My thoughts: ETH probably outperforms Sol for the rest of the cycle, and Bitcoin probably does a double from here. So essentially, strap the fuck in, because if I'm right on any or the majority or even some of those points, it's probably going to get super exciting. If you just hold the base L1s that have been around for a while, they'll probably do at least a 2 to 5x from here, if I'm right. And if I'm not right, then I guess we'll see with time, and we'll try and adapt and adjust if and when we get the opportunity. So yeah, that's basically where I stand. I have a little bit of cash on the side. I'm really tempted to put it into the market, but I'm holding it in case we get some shocking news from somewhere. Things are a bit on edge in the wider landscape with what's going on in China versus the US. Like, they need to stimulate, and they're not yet. The US needs to add liquidity to markets. Europe looks kind of shit politically and economically. That only include the UK in that. Gold's moving around, in like real physical gold's moving all over the place, going back to the US and stuff. So there's loads going on. But strap in, DCA, DCA the top assets, and just sit on your bags is what I personally am doing, and what I think is probably a good play. The other thing to look at: Bitcoin dominance and USDT dominance, and they're the things that I'm watching for potential catalysts one way or another. And yeah, other than that, I hope you enjoyed, guys. If you did, please do share it with a friend, subscribe, and hit the like button. Let me know any questions in the comments below. Peace up, A-Town Downs, Crypto Insight UK would say. Thanks for tuning in.